Welcome back, everyone, to 2019 Season 2 of Salty Socks, Episode 9? 8?
I think we're on episode 9.
Episode 9 of Salty Socks. We hope you had an enjoyable 2018 holiday break. We sure did, but we're coming into 2019 excited for what Star Wars has to offer, and that's kind of the topic of our podcast today, is talking all things 2019, be it all things Star Wars being released in 2019, including the big kahuna at the end, December 20th, Star Wars Episode 9, title to be announced.
Spoiler alert, I hate it.
Oh, is that a callback to a previous episode of Salty Sauce?
Spoiler alert, I hated it.
This joke seems pre-planned. It's crazy.
As you guys can't tell, this is the second time we've recorded this opening because Sean was off screen the whole time.
I was off screen because I was trying to get BB-8 into the shot.
Just there as fast as you can.
I'll drop you to Panema Terminal.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting so far over that when we replayed the recording, I wasn't even in the picture.
So, everyone leave a comment about your favorite thing on Sean's new studio setup. Mine would have to be the Jar Jar Binks. Darth Jar Jar.
Yeah, well, I didn't get my kids Christmas presents because I sunk all of my money into this studio. So hopefully we get a lot of subscribers and a lot of likes on this, and the ad revenue just starts to skyrocket because
Money well spent.
I'm a Toydarian. My tricks gonna work on me. Only money.
Yeah, that ad revenue. We're still in the hole, Sean. Just so you know.
Yes.
Anyway, we are excited to talk with you about some of our favorite things we're looking forward to most. But Sean, let's start off with the big one, Star Wars Episode 9. What are you excited? What about it excites you? What are you looking forward to?
Well, obviously, most Star Wars fans, if not all Star Wars fans, start their fandom by watching the movies. And so anytime there's a movie in the Star Wars universe, a major motion picture, I feel like it's something that most people are excited for and is celebrated. But the fact that it's Episode 9, it's the end of the Skywalker saga. This is a story 40 years in the making with characters that we have loved for such a long time. I'm just excited to see the end and how they wrap up this story. And I'm most excited to actually literally see the end of the Skywalker story. I want to see a lot of Force Ghost Luke. I don't want like a brief cameo. I want him to still have a significant role in the movie. I'm very, very interested to see what they do with the whole Leia storyline, especially now that we've heard that they're reusing old footage from The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. It seems like she's obviously going to be on screen. It's not going to be an off-screen type death or just a write-off of the character. So I'm very interested to see what happens with Leia. And then I told you my favorite part of The Last Jedi was the Kylo Rey relationship. And so obviously Ben Solo is a Skywalker, and so seeing his fate and what happens to Kylo Ren is another thing that I'm very excited to see in Episode 9. So the first time we recorded this, you gave me some flack because I said I didn't care about anyone else other than those three characters, and you said, what about Rey? And I do like Rey, I like Poe, I like Finn, I like other characters, and Rey is probably the only other character that I actually, yes, I am interested to see what happens to her, but like Finn and Poe, I don't care at all. Like,
I agree.
At this point, I don't really care. That's not the reason I'm going to see Episode 9. All right, Joseph, what are you excited for Episode 9?
Yeah, nothing. Oh, what? Subvert your expectations there. I'm excited for everything with Episode 9. I'm excited.
Wow, you really pulled a Rian Johnson on that one.
I'm excited for Senator Leia. or General Leia. I'm excited for Force Ghost Luke. I'm excited for Lando Calrissian. I'm excited for R2D2, C-3PO, BB-8, Poe, Finn, Rose, Rey, Kylo, General Hux. All of them. Maybe even
Maz Kanata.
Maz Kanata. How can we forget about her? I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
My perception of Maz was like episode 7. She's really cool. Episode 8. What is her deal? You know.
She's one of my favorite characters in Force Awakens, and then episode 8, it's like I almost would have rather not had her in the movie than what they did with her. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's not talk about not that you were, but let's not talk about some of our predictions for episode 9, because I'm sure we'll get into that later. I do know that we have a episode 9 trailer reaction we're going to do whenever that drops. Who knows when that drops?
Difficult to see. Always in motion is the future.
But I've already committed to Sean that I will not watch the teaser trailer until we can watch it together and do a live reaction for it.
Yes, I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And I guess that's a good segue into my second most anticipated thing of 2019 is the trailers. And this is going to be a weird thing. All the trailers and TV spots and all of the press up to episode 9, because I think I love it so much because it's like always such a surprise. Like all of a sudden someday you just get on Twitter and be like, oh shoot, they dropped a new trailer, or there's a new TV spot that reveals, and then all of the kind of the intrigue and mystery and I'm all into putting pieces together, and I sometimes spoil the movie for myself. But I'm excited for the build up to episode 9, especially that first footage. The first footage that we get to see, the first footage of episode 7 was BB-8 rolling across Jakku, in that teaser with the Millennium Falcon doing that cool maneuver with the TIE fighters. Episode
and the music
8,
the music throwback, man. That was a very emotional trailer, the episode 7 reveal.
And that one that was November, that was like around Thanksgiving time of the year before. And so we still have not seen anything from episode 9. And in fact, it's like been very tight-lipped. The only news that we have of episode 9 that I'm aware of is casting. And, the big one is Billy Dee and Carrie Fisher's casting. And I guess Mark Hamill as well. But other than that, there's been nothing, which is surprising to me because I'm like, what are you holding on to it for,
I also remember when one of the Last Jedi trailers dropped and the editing was so good that it made it look like Rey and Kylo were having a conversation, but when you watch the movie, it's actually things Rey is saying to Luke. And then, so it was like a double psych out because we thought, oh, the trailer makes it look like they're talking and they're going to team up, but that's probably they're trying to trick us. So then we were like, we know better than that. Uh-huh. And then when we actually watched the movie, oh wait, that does happen, but it's not the scenes that were in the trailer. So it was like this really funny kind of thing that happened there. But I feel like the trailers are exciting.
The same thing with Kylo Ren about to shoot his mom. Like in the ship, we're like, oh, that's not going to happen. Well, it almost did. That was the exact scene from the movie. Yeah, that was very clever of them. They had us there. But yeah, I remember that stuff.
We obviously saw The Last Jedi together. We were in the theaters and sitting next to each other, and when Leia gets sucked out into space, I remember you making this audible noise of like, oh.
I didn't expect that.
I didn't read all the spoilers like I did.
Oh, did you read all the spoilers?
No, I didn't read any of them. But I was convinced you did because you predicted so many deaths that actually happened. And I was like, how did you know all of that? That was really weird that you knew that.
Oh, I don't remember that. I had I know like the most random things about the movies. Like I knew there was some monster on the coast of the island, which turned out to be those sea cow things. But I thought it was going to be something else, and I knew there was some big creature that they rode through Canto Bight. That was a disappointment, but we don't need to talk about
I feel
that.
like though you and I both we try to avoid spoilers and somehow they always catch us, like the Darth Maul reveal in Solo.
Uh-huh.
We both went into that knowing that that was going to happen, and we were mad about it that we both got that spoiled for us.
Well, I was upset because I had Luke as a hologram spoiled for me. I was purposely, as soon as the movie came out, I wasn't going to see it until I saw it with you, so I was avoiding everything about it. And I was on some random YouTube video, and someone in the comments said Luke is a hologram. You know, it was like some like Wendover Productions video or something, and it was like Luke is a hologram, and I'm like, what does that mean? So then when I was watching the movie, I was like, is he a hologram right now? So had that spoiled.
So back to the trailer thing, I think I could be wrong, but it seems logical to me that they might hold on any type of reveal until Star Wars Celebration in March,
I hope not.
which is it seems like it's so far away. But that's not one of my top things, but it's an honorable mention on my list is Star Wars Celebration because I'm not going. I don't particularly want to go because it's just so crowded and such a huge mass of people. But 2 years ago when they had Star Wars Celebration, there were so many great reveals. They had a big reveal for the Battlefront 2 video game that was coming out. They had like trailers and stuff for Last Jedi. They had just TV shows, Rebels. I think they had some stuff for that. Anyway, so I am excited to see the announcements that come out. Are we going to hear from Disney or Lucasfilm what the plan is after Episode 9? Because right now there aren't any other movies announced other than the Rian Johnson trilogy. Which is that still happening? I don't even know. We haven't heard anything else.
And the Game of Thrones trilogy, the Benioff and Weiss one.
Now, is that going to be like in theaters or is that going to be like made for TV movies? I don't know.
I was under that's a good point. Is it going to be like on their Disney Anywhere? What's their new thing called?
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. Is it going to be released for that, like a Bird Box? I don't know. That's a good question. I hope it's a theatrical release. I'm really excited for the Rian Johnson stuff, but you guys know that. But
I'm actually excited for the Rian Johnson stuff too because I feel like if he can just start from scratch and have like an original story, I don't have a problem. But when he's trying to write for characters that 40 years we've been growing up with and it's the 8th part of a 9-part story and you just take it off the rails, that's when I start to have issues. All right, okay, next topic.
Subverting expectations. Let's talk about what your number. Sorry, what?
Yeah. Go ahead.
What's your number 2, Sean? So
Yeah.
both our number ones are the movie.
No,
What's
you
your
go.
number 2? Oh, it's my turn. My number 3 is.
Wait, what about my number 2?
Go for it.
Okay. My number 2, I can't even remember now because I just tried to really throw you off and I threw myself off.
All his life as he looked away to the future, to the horizon, never his mind on where he was, what he was doing.
It was I think it was The Mandalorian.
Oh, it was The Mandalorian. Yeah. So speaking of Disney Plus, I mean, we've talked about this before. Disney, when do you want my money? Like, I'm ready to pay for this subscription service. And we don't have official confirmation that The Mandalorian is going to be like a launch title, but we've been told Disney Plus is going to have a late 2019 release. And I'm assuming The Mandalorian is going to be like one of the
It's got to be the tentpole. It's got to be the main driver to the service.
That's what I think. And so I'm really excited for it. We've gotten a couple of pictures on Instagram from Jon Favreau about it, and we see the actual Mandalorian, the main character. It's taking place after the Return of the Jedi, but before the Force Awakens, so we haven't, seen that era on screen yet. And there was like this picture too of IG-88, which is like this Easter egg, a droid bounty hunter that's going to be in the show. So it just seems like it's going to be a fun, interesting show, interesting story that I'm excited to see. And especially I think will give us a good look at the content that Star Wars can start to put out if they have this dedicated streaming service, that we maybe don't have to wait 2 years between movies to get some high quality content on screen.
Right, yeah.
So I'm excited for that and all that entails, and kind of seeing where they go with that medium. So that's my number two, Mandalorian.
I'm also excited for The Mandalorian. It seems like a very interesting show. I honestly don't know much about it, which is okay with me. I'm not.
I don't think that there's a lot hasn't been said about like the plot or anything like that.
It does seem like it's a huge budget production. Like I think they're throwing around like Game of Thrones late season per episode numbers, which is crazy. But Disney's basically printing money whenever they put anything Star Wars out, so it's not like they'll lose money on this. But yeah, I'm also excited for it.
Except for Solo. Oh, that wasn't a...
However much of this is... Whoa, Han. Slow down. Might want to quit while you're ahead.
They didn't make a whole lot of money there, so...
Yeah, well... let's not talk about Solo.
I have to mention it every video, because that's kind of my, MO, is to mention Solo.
I kind of wanted to see what Lord and Miller had for Solo. Because after seeing Into the Spider-Verse, I'd like to see what Miller and Lord had for that. Anyway, my number 3, Sean, is going to be kind of out there. It's the novels that are coming out this upcoming year. And there's a few of them. Let me just read the list that I have here. March 5th, there's a Queen Amidala. Well, it's actually not going to be Queen Amidala. It's going to be right after she resigns as queen, becomes senator. So it's Senator Amidala, but it's called Queen's Shadow. That's by the author who wrote the Ahsoka novel, which is fantastic. April 16th comes out with my most anticipated book, which is Master and Apprentice, a Claudia Gray book about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn. Oh, that's going to be so good. June 4th, there is a book called Alphabet Squadron. Not much has been released about that one. July 23rd is the trilogy ending Thrawn Treason. So 4 big novels coming out this year. I'm most excited for, which is interesting, the prequel ones about Senator Amidala and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, Master and Apprentice. Because, first of all, Claudia Gray is by far the best author of any of the new books. Every single book she's written has been fantastic. And I just really like Obi-Wan, or Qui-Gon is, I don't know if I've ever said this, is my favorite Star Wars character. So,
really?
I always love everything about, oh yeah, I love Qui-Gon. So I'd love to learn more about him.
Yeah, he's a great character, and I think you're right. I think Master and Apprentice, the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan novel, is going to be the most anticipated for fans. It's set before The Phantom Menace, which is this going to be like the earliest canon thing we ever see? What else in canon do we have before The Phantom Menace?
Well, Darth Plagueis is not canon anymore. I mean,
there probably is something. Someone could probably fact check us on that. But I think this might be one of the earliest things we have in the canon at this point. If it's before Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I don't know. There might be some one-off comic somewhere that sets before us, but I don't know of anything.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I think you read more of the books than I do, for sure. But I read a lot when they did the whole line for like Journey to the Force Awakens. Mm-hmm. And I read a lot of those books, and then I didn't read as much for the Journey to the Last Jedi, and the last year I haven't really read. on your recommendation, I started reading A Certain Point of View, which has been
Everyone
really
should read. Everyone should read that book.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
Yeah, it's been really good so far. And one of the things that I'm excited about, because I want to read, Claudia Gray does a short story in A Certain Point of View about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, but when Obi-Wan's already a hermit on Tatooine. And so supposedly there's going to be connections between that and the book that she's writing.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's a very cool. For those of you who don't know about that book, it is 40 short stories that take place in the periphery of A New Hope. So from the beginning of A New Hope to the end, and kind of different stories about the characters that we know and other minor characters that we don't know anything about, but give them backstory. Such as my favorite, which is about have you read the one about the Imperial Guard and why he doesn't shoot at the escape pod jettisoned from the
Yeah, that's one of the first ones.
Floor?
There goes another one.
Hold your fire. There's no life forms. They must have short-circuited.
That's one of the first ones, and it talks all about like the data reports that they have to enter to like cover up why they didn't shoot the escape pod, and it was really funny and interesting.
Wasn't they have like this quota or this percentage of hits versus shots, and so, or like deaths per shot or something, and so if it's an empty thing being shot out there, they didn't want to waste a shot because it would bring down their average. Is that how it was? Yeah,
it was like their kill shot ratio or whatever. And he didn't want his to be negatively affected, so he didn't want to shoot at an empty vessel. So he said
cool.
said don't shoot.
And Yoda's even in that book too. I won't say anything more about it.
Spoiler alert. Okay, I haven't read the whole thing yet.
Yoda's in it.
Oh, gosh.
But anyway, it's a great book. Everyone should read it. But her short story is good. But she's also written Lost Stars. She's written Bloodline, Princess of Alderaan, all great books.
I mean, Lost Stars, I think, of all the new canon books, is probably one of my favorites. It was just really, really good.
Yeah.
My third most anticipated thing of 2019 for Star Wars is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, okay? It's a video game that is coming out, and all we know right now is that it is holiday 2019. I, as you know, Joseph, am a sucker for story-driven video games. If there's some sort of single-player narrative story mode, I get sucked into it. And we need this for Star Wars video games because we got the Battlefront 2 campaign, which lasted...
Okay, wait, let's go back just a little bit. We had Battlefront 1, which had no campaign whatsoever, right. And then Battlefront 2, which was a disappointment, in my opinion.
The story was all right, but it just was so short and kind of, I don't know, the story wasn't that engaging. Anyway, and so I feel like it's been a long time since there's been a really good Star Wars video game story that you can play through and experience. And that's why I'm really excited for this, because it is supposed to be a single player kind of narrative where you are a Padawan in the aftermath of Order 66 during Revenge of the Sith, and you survive, and the game is basically your story of trying to survive after the Jedi Order has fallen. And I think that is awesome, that you're going to play as a Padawan, and you're going to have to, survive the clone troopers, and maybe even be in the Jedi Temple when Anakin comes and, kills all the younglings and leaves his digital fingerprints on the security holograms for Obi-Wan and Yoda to find. I don't know.
Has anything more been said about this other than what was said at E3?
No, nothing. Not that I know of. And that's why I think hopefully at Celebration maybe we'll get something more and we'll get to actually see something. Because right now all we have is the title, and then like a 2-sentence synopsis about what I just said, basically. You're a Padawan after Order 66 trying to survive. Like, that's all we know.
There's no gameplay. There's nothing, right? Yeah.
Right. And so I am excited for that and to see that story and experience that. But like you said, one of the other things that isn't on my actual list, but that I am excited to experience from afar and one day go to, is the new Star Wars Galaxy Edge at the Disney parks, which is like a new Star Wars land at Disneyland and then at Disney World. Probably won't try to go for the first year, 2 years, because it's just going to be so overrun and crowded. But I definitely, at least once in my life, need to get there and experience what it's like to walk through a cantina and get on the Millennium Falcon and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see when that opens up all the cool stuff that they have, because so far the things that they've announced for it seem really, really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's not on my top 3, even though it's on a lot of people's most anticipated, because I'm not going to experience it this year or even next year. It's a few years away, and I understand that, but I am excited to one day go. But you're right, to see what is there, to see how immersive it's going to be. Very excited for that.
Because I've heard that it's like, well, first of all, one of the rides they've announced is like Smuggler's Run, which is you're on the Millennium Falcon, and there's 6 seats. And when you get on the ride, you go into one of the seats, and each seat has a different role in the cockpit. And it's like an interactive ride. So there's a pilot, a co-pilot, a navigator, a gunner. Like in whatever seat you're in, you're doing something different. And you have to actually do things. I don't know how interactive it's going to be, but it makes it. I watched this like on Christmas. They did a Disney YouTube, like did a reveal, and it looks like you have to do things to hit certain milestones in the ride. Like you could potentially like crash the ship if you're not good enough at piloting or something like that. And so that just seems really cool. Like, wow, not only am I riding it, but I am actually part of the crew that's flying the Millennium Falcon. That just seems cool. And they announced that you can do things on the rides or throughout the park that can like earn you credits that you can spend in the cantina, or you can do something where you get like a bounty placed on your head, and they'll have bounty hunters like walking around the park.
Bounty hunters? We don't need that scum.
Yes, sir.
Like trying to capture you if you do things like to upset the First Order or something. So it just seems like they're trying some new things for immersion more than just the buildings and the rides.
And the characters, right? Yeah.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I mean, this is just a huge year for Disney and Star Wars and all the things that they're doing. And I think it's even more so because we don't really know any of the plans for 2020 and beyond. Like, basically everything that we know and that is announced for Star Wars is happening in 2019.
Sure.
So after that, it's just the great unknown for us. We're just in the dark on, I don't know what happens after this.
The only thing that I know of is the Cassian Andor thing, which I think is 2020 or 2021. There is one more thing that we haven't talked about yet that's coming out this year. That is the Clone Wars final season, which I do believe is also going to be released on the not Netflix, the Disney Plus streaming service. For those of you who don't know, Clone Wars had an unfinished season that was almost finished, but Cartoon Network canceled them, and so they've held on to the post work that they've done, and they're now finishing it and going to release it soon. So that will finish off a story that a lot of people, and myself included, feel like needs to be finished and told for the final time.
And that is definitely something, once again, that I'm excited for the streaming service. I'm excited that these things will all be in one place, that I can like go to the Disney Plus streaming service and consume all of this content in this media without, I never even gave Rebels a chance because I didn't have Disney XD or whatever channel it was on, so I never watched it. But I probably would have watched it.
Or the current show that's currently happening that we haven't even spoken one bit about.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about that show.
I don't know anything about the show. I haven't been really enticed or interested in watching it at all. But they'll probably have something at Celebration, and they probably have like a second season coming out this year too, or something. Who knows? But yeah, so a lot of great things happening in 2019.
I'm excited, Sean. I'm excited for December 20th.
I'm especially excited for the not so big boulder that will be in our future.
That's right.
In the month of December. If you catch my drift.
That large rock.
Was it in the first recording that we did that you said that was a secret, or in this recording?
The first recording. We haven't talked about it in this one yet.
So it's not even a secret anymore.
We have a big surprise for you guys at the very end of 2019. Anyway, that wraps it for our 2019 future cast that we have. We're excited for a whole lot. Star Wars has kind of taken a little break ever since Solo, I feel like, but things are ramping up very quickly. As soon as that trailer drops, we'll be hitting you with our reaction, and if it doesn't come out for a while, we'll probably put out another podcast between then. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to continue with our movie reviews. We have The Revenge of the Sith coming up next. We've watched that and done our research for that. At least I have. I don't know about you, Joseph. And also, what we want to hear from you guys down in the comments. What are some of the things you're excited for in 2019 in terms of Star Wars things coming out? There are a lot of things we didn't really touch on because that's not really our cup of tea for our fandom. But there are a lot of comics, there are toys, there are little digital shorts, like that whole anime-inspired Galaxies of Adventure thing has been going on. I haven't really checked that out. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming out right now for Star Wars fans of all ages and all interests. And so I think that's something to be celebrated. I think it's going to be a fun year.
I agree.
Listen, in the last podcast, we talked about how your side of your friends and family all watch the podcast, are super supportive. They're always asking when the next one comes out. And I made the comment that nobody ever asks me when the next podcast is coming out. And I didn't think anybody on my side of my family or friends watched the podcast. Well, who came to my rescue like a knight in shining armor, all right, but my one and only sister, Lacey Megan Hunky. That's her married name, all right? She originally was a Gilmore. Sent me all of these childhood Star Wars toys that we had when we were growing up. These are toys from Burger King from when the prequels came out. All right, so these are like awesome. 20 years old. And she also started to hit me up like, where's the merchandise? Where's the Salty Socks t-shirts and hoodies that I can buy? And I'm like, what?
Are we going to do merchandise?
Oh, we're going to have merchandise, all right, in 2021. That's the secret, everybody. In 2021, we're going to have a merchandise store set up. So you guys be ready. Stay tuned for that. Be patient. And in a couple of years, wait to look and see what's under your Christmas tree, baby. A Salty Socks hoodie.
And anyway, in the meantime, till we see you again, keep those socks salty.
Keep them salty, people.
See ya. Bye.